Chuck E. Chan.
Here comes Chuck E. Chan.
Martial arts expert of reptile land.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang. Give it. Spread their rest on new
Pocket
chain.
sand.
I can't grip the fucker. Like, I gotta have a way to grip it.
Jungle.
Andrew, I'm sorry. It's not.
My fingers slip
What a
right off the
backfire.
lid. My fingers are literally slipping off the lid. I just can't grip it.
You know what? Maybe the olive jars are harder than the pickle jars.
They're not hard to open.
All right, so I wanted to make a video on this exact topic anyway, of manliness versus masculinity, and the Whatever podcast created the perfect environment to create that video, as this guy Andrew on the podcast challenged this woman here on the right to open this jar of pickles, which is actually a jar of olives, and she wasn't able to do it, so she slides it over to him and asks him to open it. He completely fails, and as you can hear, he provides a series of excuses. And then eventually he asks some other guy who's like behind the camera to come over, and the guy opens it, no problem. And, you know, that's just awesome, as he's trying to make the point like, oh, this woman says she doesn't need a man, but she needs a man to open this jar. It's such a stupid point. And to get proven wrong in such a direct, hilarious way is awesome. But I think people get really confused about the narrative around this, because people say, oh, this guy fancies himself an alpha male. He spouts about how he's such an alpha, and then he isn't able to even open this jar. Yeah, that's quite pathetic, but this guy's not an alpha. None of these guys on these podcasts are an alpha male. And a lot of posts I've seen recently are people contending against the entire idea of alpha males even existing, which is inherently ridiculous. Alpha males clearly exist both in the animal kingdom and in humans. It's just not these guys. Like, think about who these guys even are. Just look at them. They're doughy, especially the older guy failing to open the jar of olives. What is he, in his 40s? He's some like church nerd. I'm not super familiar with these guys. I had to look up where their podcast is even based out of. It's based out of Santa Barbara, California, which is about 2-hour drive from Los Angeles. These guys are yuppies. These guys live in luxury. These guys are pussies. These guys have probably never done a hard day's work in their life. Even if they've worked a job that is laborious, they'd be the lazy guy getting no work done. That's who these guys are. I mean, look at them. Stuff was going down. Like, if you're in a bar brawl with friends, these are not the friends you'd want to have with you, because you'd be on the losing side for sure. And this guy's like a married, middle-aged guy. In no way is this guy an alpha male. He's just a church dork. He's just a misogynist. There's a difference between manliness and masculinity. This guy centers his whole personality around manliness and not masculinity. And I'm, in this video, going to go over the specific differences. But first, we'll talk about alpha males. So, a lot of weirdos will say, oh, well, alphas don't exist in the animal kingdom or in humans, because there was a study. The term originated from wolves and wolf pack dynamics, and they thought that the wolves were just following the biggest and strongest, but it turns out that they did another study, and it was actually the kids of the wolves. They were just following the parents, and that makes up the pack. Alright, who gives a shit? That has nothing to do with anything. Like, the origin of the term alpha has nothing to do with what the term means now, especially as it pertains to humans. But even within the animal kingdom, even within wolves themselves, regardless of how they travel in packs, when it comes to mating, the male that is the biggest and the strongest is going to have his choice of mates. Like, that is what an alpha male is. That's the entire concept. Now, obviously, it's different in humans than animals, because we have, like, society and dynamics, and we just don't function that way. But you see it across the animal kingdom. Lions have prides. Lions have alphas. It's the whole, like, this is a much better example of this exact premise. And lions are one of the best examples, because the males just kind of like sleep all day and the women go out and hunt for them. So they're just chilling and fighting when they need to and banging when they need to. They just kind of lion. You know, if you're the alpha lion in a pride, you kind of got it made. You're at the top of the food chain. Gorillas, you know, and I think you see this in other apes. They have alphas who sometimes just have entire harems of freaking females. They just create an entire community around their alphaness. A much better example, because obviously we're a lot closer to apes than we are to feline or canine. You see this in humans. You see this across the board. Now this exists in two different ways, right? So we've established these podcast dorks are not alphas, but why are they not alphas? Look at them. So there's basically two different kind of ways you can be an alpha male. Now that has heavily to do with how you just live your life as a man. And a lot of men live their lives very differently, right? You've got weirdo neckbeards who pretty much don't have a social circle at all. You have groups of guys where they're just always around guys. I think this entire like red pill manoverse thing is actually like super gay. I mean, look at these guys. They look like they want to bang each other. They're never really around women all that much, besides these weird podcasts where they're paying these women to be berated by them. They have all been caught purchasing hookers and being sugar daddies. These guys need millions of dollars just to get a 20-year-old woman to look their way. These guys are pathetic. These guys have no riz. They just have money. They just throw money at women. That's so pathetic, and it's clearly a grift to get money out of really pathetic, lonely men. Like these guys, super gay, super not alpha, because to me this is lame. This is not masculine. This is manliness. If you look at like Myron and Tate there, they look like they're going to make love to each other. There's an inherent manliness in homosexuality, right? They center their entire identity around manliness, but it's not masculinity. What masculinity is when you actually like take care of others. When you get shit done. Now granted, these guys have made a lot of money, but when you actually take care of the people around you, your family and friends, which these guys don't do. These guys, for all intents and purposes, don't have families, because that's what they encourage. That, oh, you got to be on that grind set. You got to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning every day and only focus on making money. And if anyone's not helping you make money, cut them out of your life entirely. That's pathetic. That's not masculine. Masculine is somebody who elevates others, leads by example. Being manly is trying to lead through just douchiness and having money. Ego. That's pathetic. It's transparent. It's weak. That's not anything. You're just not masculine men. I mean, look at you. You're looking like you're gonna bang each other. Like, why is your whole identity centered around you trying to impress other men? That's gay. I can't think of anything gayer than that. So that's one type of alpha male. If all you care about is impressing other men, then yeah, you're doing this weirdo follow the leader. Let's follow Tate because he has the most money. All right, you could say that the leader of that group, that pack of men, is the alpha. It's super gay and pathetic, but okay, that's fine. You do you. But for most men, that isn't even remotely what an alpha male is. An alpha male is somebody who just accomplishes whatever it is they want to accomplish and gets a lot of women. And gets a lot of women without having to throw millions of dollars around, without having to purchase the women, without having to spend all this money on fancy clothes and put in all this effort. Men who actually have riz, they don't need any of this. They don't need a dime. Like, they could literally be homeless and get a new chick every night. These guys ain't it. These guys, to me, how I live my life, these guys are not remotely alphas. Like, I would pull a chick off of these guys every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. Some men who I'd consider masculine, a key part of masculinity, to me, is taking care of others and leading by example and being there for people and being supportive of people and being true to yourself and doing what you want to do. If what you want to do is be some freak who wakes up at 5 a.m. in the morning every day and hyper focuses on money and cuts all these people out of your life because they're not helping you make money, you can be that, but that is weird and bizarre, and I don't want to associate with anyone who would ever want that in any sense of you have no values, you have no value yourself, you're a joke. That's just me. That's how I feel. I'd much rather people who actually care about others and take care of others. And so, to me, a real alpha male is someone who's masculine, someone who gets women. That's a huge part of masculinity, is you get women because you understand women and you take care of women. Because to me, like, I'm straight as an arrow, right? I mean, you know, I say some sussy stuff sometimes, but I love women. I love spending time with women. That's what I care about. So many times in my life, I've heard men brag about this, brag about that, say, oh, I did this in the past, I did that in the past. This manly crap where, why are you trying to impress me? I've literally said this to men, where they're just going on this tear of just bragging about this or that manly little nonsense thing, trying to prove their manliness. I'm just not impressed. Pull more chicks than me, then I'll be impressed. Pull more attractive chicks than me, then I'll be impressed. But what you're talking about here just doesn't impress me, I'm sorry. Because it's just torturous to even hear about. These people who just don't even, you know, you can say you did such and such things and that's great, you know, you're really good at eating spicy food, or you carried this thing and it was real heavy. Okay, cool. I don't give a shit. Why would, like, I'm a man who's into women. Why would I care about some random manly thing that another man has done? It couldn't be more meaningless. Dude, I'm not trying to, like, you know, I don't want you to carry me into the bedroom. I'm into women. I just don't swing that way. I'm sorry. What a real alpha man is to me it should be the absolute prevailing use of the term alpha male as it pertains to humans, is a guy who gets lots of women. Not through tremendous effort and spending tremendous money. They're just having riz and, you know, compassion and friendship and being comedic, being witty. Ladies Man, from the movie The Ladies Man. Dude, just getting women. So many men out there who are successful with women, who date lots of women, they would never have enough time for manliness. They would never have enough time to go on a boat and pose with the bros. They would never even want to do that under any circumstances, because they're busy spending time with women. They're interested in women. You wouldn't catch me dead doing some weird homoerotic pose on a boat. Like, that's, hey, you know, nothing against gay people. Pretend that that's not what this is. That these guys, literally all four of these guys, and these guys on the whatever podcast, they see themselves as alpha males when they're doughy dorks. They got no riz. At least the main guy on the whatever podcast, he's the only one of all these, like, red pill dudes who has even the tiniest bit of wit and charm and riz. All of these other guys are just pathetic. These guys have so much more money than me. Millions of dollars more than me. And if me and them were both flirting with the same chick, the chick would go with me 9 times out of 10. No question. Because these guys just don't have charisma. They're just vacuums of charisma. They don't exist outside of bragging about random shit that even women don't care about. Maybe a couple of wannabe Instagram models that they pull into their podcasts for clout. These hookers that they pay money to. They care about that, but the other 99% of women don't give a shit. They just want somebody who's fun, who they can have a good conversation with, who's not this weird guy who's in love with all these other men. Again, it's fine. If that, you know, what do they say on Seinfeld? Not that there's anything wrong with it. You do you. Have play your booty games with each other on your boat. I'm sure you're enjoying it, but to most men who get women, they couldn't even imagine enjoying that for a moment, right? Because a guy who gets a lot of women, you're spending your one day with this woman. Say you're not in a relationship, you're spending one day with one woman. Then the next 2 days you're spending with another woman. You just don't exist in this weirdo male-centric life. And you respect and appreciate other men who got Riz, who are Riz lords, who get lots of women. That's what a real alpha male is. That's what masculinity is. It's taking care of others. It's helping other people achieve their goals, which these grifters claim to be about, but they don't. All they do is sell you on, all right, you need to make as much money as I've made, and then you can pay these 20-year-old women to sleep with you. That's not going to get you any kind of meaningful relationship. That's not even going to get you anywhere in life. The stuff that they promote probably won't even get you any money. They're just pulling money from you. These guys are losers. These guys are charisma-less losers who just shout at women. They just hate women. Especially the guy on the whatever podcast, the Andrew guy who couldn't open the olive jar. You can kind of see it in his face. And if it was just him trying to like disprove the points that these women on the podcast make, that's fine. But there's certain times, and I haven't watched much of him, but I've seen enough to where he just gets super turbo angry, topped out angry. And like shouts at these women in a way you wouldn't do unless you are deeply insecure. All these guys have super little dick energy, and this guy Andrew definitely has it. I feel like he just ain't getting laid, right? Like he's married, so most married couples, they're banging 2-3 times a year or less, and you don't have that kind of anger towards women in general like this Andrew guy demonstrates on a regular basis. Unless you just ain't getting enough action as you'd like to be. You know? That's clearly what's going on with this guy. But yeah, he's a doughy fucking California yuppie. Weak as shit. Of course he is. He's a dork. A good example of manliness, it's your boy Asmongold, man. The guy's super manly. Now, his manliness is that he's just gross and can operate and like, you know, have a successful career and just not shower for lengths of time and not clean his house for lengths of time. Luckily, he's getting his house cleaned up now that he like fell through the floor. Asmongold is like one of the most manly internet personalities. He leans into it heavily. It's ingrained into who he is. But he also is masculine because he starts companies, because he helps all these other streamers and has literally made careers for people. He elevates everyone around him. He's there for people. He sticks up for people, puts good things out there in the world. So he's top level manly, and he's quite high level masculine. Asmongold has millions of dollars. He could be on a boat shoveling thousands of dollars into hookers at a time, you know, like these guys do. But that's just lame. He just doesn't do that. To most men, what these podcast guys do, like their complete lack of riz and the women they go for is gross and pathetic. Honestly, alphas exist in the animal kingdom. Lions and gorillas are a great example. They exist in humans. You can say they exist in the form of these like dorks, these men who are just centered, their entire socializing is just centered around grouping up with other men. That's fine, sure, but really an alpha man doesn't even need to be in like that leadership role to lead, because he's already just getting everything that he wants out of life. He gets women, he gets relationships, deep, meaningful relationships, not short-term hookups with like 20-year-old prostitutes. This guy, I mean, the ladies' man is like, you know, it's a ridiculous movie, but guys who actually get women, guys like me, we're really living the good life. We don't need a cent. I've gone out so many times and women are like buying me meals. I've had women pay Ubers to wine and dine me. I make good money. I make more money than most people. It's about having game, having charisma. That's a real alpha. And those are the guys you should look up to, not these weird podcast women hating dorks. So it's psychotic when people point to this, well, because of these studies, the origin of the term alpha male, that means that alphas don't exist. I was literally commented on a post today, and this guy was like, well, the alpha wolves don't exist, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, dude, what the hell are you talking about? They do exist. They literally exist. And terms change over time. You see this throughout the animal kingdom. You see this in humans. Terminology changes over time, and it's always one type of person. It's this male feminist neckbeard. Every guy who like sits there and argues that the term that there are no alpha males are all over 350-pound male feminists, leftist activists. It's so weird. Hey, we can see from your profile picture you haven't touched a woman in 5 years, if ever. Chill out, you leftist weirdos. Just because you're at the bottom of the food chain, by choice, by your own choices, you can stop shoveling in the baconators, several baconators a day. You can make positive change in your life. First of which is just being friends with women, getting women in your life. You don't have women in your life or even men in your life. You're actually like just have no one. You're just fundamentally a moron. Language changes as time goes on. Have a discussion with anyone you know about what exactly gaslighting is. That term has completely evolved and changed from what it originally meant. So many terms are like that. The origin of the term alpha male is beyond meaningless because it's evolved way beyond that. There aren't even that many wolves in the world. To be fair, there's not even that many lions or gorillas in the world either. But the fact that you see it all throughout the animal kingdom, that females particularly go for one type of male. And you see that in humans. It's guys with charisma and confidence. And not guys who are desperate, pathetic, loser, whiny, women hating. Alright, to summarize, manliness is doing things to impress other men. Doing things that are like rough, brutish. Masculinity is a very positive thing because it's about stepping up as a man. Being there for other people. Being there for each other. It's wildly different, and a masculine man is someone who accomplishes his goals and helps others accomplish their goals. These guys, they don't do that. Because if they did that, they wouldn't have a customer base. Right? Whether those people are directly buying their classes, their merchandise, or just simply viewing them, they are their customers. These guys are selling them a product which is keeping them lonely, keeping them obsessed about nothing but money, and basically saying they have the key to all this money and all this women, but you just have to keep listening to them and dedicate yourself to them, or you'll never achieve that. And that's the least masculine thing you could do, is dedicate yourself to a couple of snake oil salesmen who have never demonstrated actual charisma and actual ability to get women without purchasing them. That's incredibly pathetic. A very old YouTuber named Tommy Sotomayor, he had this TNN News Raw and Uncut, very controversial figure. Guy said some wild stuff. But he made some actually really good videos about dating early on in YouTube, where he talked about how he got the most women when he was in his 20s, but specifically in time periods where he was unemployed. Because, as he put it, you don't have time to do anything else besides bang women. When he was working, that just ate up so much of his time. So when these guys talk to their audience of very lonely, confused men and tell them that they need to be waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning every single morning, you're promoting this self-imposed slavery onto these very confused and desperate men. You're tricking them, and that sucks, because that's just going to distance those men further from what they're seeking. What they're seeking is like companionship, relationships, human connections, and these guys on these podcasts are pulling these men further and further away from that. So that's why I say that listening to these guys on a regular basis and buying into their rhetoric is the least masculine thing you can do, because manliness is caring about what other men think, is saying like, I'll never watch the Twilight series of movies because it's not manly. Oh, my man card might get revoked. You know, caring about this like frat boy mentality, immature goofiness. Like, these guys, how old are they? The Tate brothers in Fresh and Fit in this photo, right? Like, earliest, like youngest, probably maybe one of them is like 30. Like, I assume Tate is in his 40s. I don't really know. But, like, these guys are super old. But they have this teenage boy mentality. And it's their entire persona is centered around that. Is your man card, your manliness. And it's not actually centered around masculinity. They'll sometimes mention masculinity, such as, like, you know, being yourself and this and that. But then they sit there and will preach to you that you're not making enough money, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, you need to be hitting the gym, you need to be waking up at 5 in the morning every morning. Nothing sounds more torturous and shitty to me than specifically that. I would rather enjoy life. Keep your multi-million dollars and your stupid internet fame. I don't want that. I would hate to be any of these guys. To have to work that hard. To have to... What I'm going to do is I'm going to sleep my ass in, wake up when I want to, and then plow a woman. You know, like, I'm not going to be waking up at 5 a.m. to circle jerk with other guys in the manosphere, and we're going to have our really fresh outfits, and we're so hot. Oh my god. Guys, oh my god, Tate, let me touch your arms, you're so sexy. Like, that's what these guys are. That's what these guys are fucking doing in this photo. These guys are absolute insane, entirely ego-driven, but their idea of what ego is, of what an alpha is. A guy in high school who's, like, jockey and obnoxious and rude, when that's not what women's idea of an alpha is. Like, listen to what women say. Women don't like these guys. Women don't like guys who are like these guys. They don't like guys who are super broy. These guys wouldn't know that because the only women they get are women who are desperate for clout and desperate for money. These guys live a very sad existence of self-imposed slavery that they're preaching to other people to impose upon themselves. So manliness is refusing to watch a musical. Masculinity is sticking up for yourself, sticking up for other people, stuff like being a good father, stuff like being a good friend, helping people who are in a worse situation than you.
Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang, Gucci gang.